Our Green Tower retreat ended on Sunday, was it? This past week? Something, Sunday or Monday. And I happened to go and take a look at the news to see what was going on. And I encountered this story that has really, I can't let go of it. It's a very tragic story. And there's so many parts to this, so I may be talking about this story more than one talk today. So I'm going to just give you the facts of the story, and then I'll tell you what has been occurring to me as I've reflected on this tragedy. So when I opened the New York Times, there was this photograph of these 4 people looking very, very happy and jubilant. And there was this Chinese billionaire. His name is Lam Kok, and his wife. Her name, let's see. I'll find it somewhere. Lao Shuen Wan. They're there standing with this French couple. His name, the owner of the Bordeaux vineyard that these Chinese people just purchased from these 2, his name is James Gregoire, and his wife. So here's the 4 of them. They've just sold this property in the Bordeaux region of France for about $41 million. And they're just rejoicing. The Chinese couple are thrilled. This is a new trend, I guess, for Chinese wealthy people to start buying vineyards in France, because there's a taste in China with the wealthy for very good red wine. And then the story turns very sad. An hour after this photograph was taken, James Gregoire says to Lam Kok, do you want to go? I'll take you in my helicopter. You can see the whole property from the air. So Lam Kok gets in the helicopter with his Chinese interpreter and his 12-year-old son. And Lam Kok's wife was supposed to get in the helicopter, and at the last moment she said, "No, I'm not going. I'm afraid of helicopters. I'm not going." So they take off. This is a usual thing for James. He flies the helicopter around his property all the time. And it was meant to be just a quick trip, because this is following a banquet, and they introduced Lam Kok to all of the people who worked at the vineyard, and there was a press conference. It was just a big party. And after about 20 minutes, the workers there didn't see any sign of the helicopter, and they got concerned. So they immediately called the police. And apparently they had been flying very low over the river, and all of a sudden the helicopter smashed into the river, killing everybody on board. So Lam Kok is dead, James Gregoire is dead, the Chinese interpreter is dead, so is the 12-year-old son. So, so many things have been coming to mind about this tragedy. In a moment, some karma ripened for these people, something that they had created in a past life, or maybe this life, and despite being incredibly wealthy, everyone on board, well, I don't know about the Chinese interpreter, but everybody on board that helicopter was fabulously wealthy. They probably had security protecting their family. They probably thought they could protect their 12-year-old son from anything and everything. And just think of all the planning that had sort of evolved and was taking place. They had this property now in France. They were going to start turning it into a high-end, not only a wine tasting place, but a spa and a place for them to also have Chinese extraordinary tea. And, this future that was ahead for all of them. And in a moment, it's gone. That is really, I find the story quite shocking. So, and then imagine right now the 2 women, the wives, 30 minutes before the helicopter took off, they had an intact family. The helicopter takes off. In less than 30 minutes, their families are, smashed like the helicopter. So I think it's just very, very compelling evidence that we are under the influence of karma and afflictions, and that anything at any time can happen. So then I was taking a look at the story from the viewpoint of attachment. Now, I don't know if these people were attached to money. Could be they were. If you're a billionaire, I'm sure there's some attachment going on there. And then just maybe think before you got really into Buddhism, or maybe you still have this feeling come up every now and then, you think of a billionaire, and the thought might come up, wow, that would be pretty cool. I could buy anything I wanted. I could go anywhere I want. I can build myself the most amazing home. I could have the most amazing collections of things. I could go to a lot of Dharma teachings. I could take all my friends too. But that mind that keeps planning for the next thing we're going to acquire, I'm sure if you're a billionaire, I don't know if you can escape that. And so Venerable Children has taught us a very good technique for dealing with this mind of craving and grasping that can come up. And the one technique that I've been doing when it comes is actually very effective. And so she says, bring to mind something that you're craving, that you want. You're just sure you can't be happy without it. So maybe it's money, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's the latest Mac computer. I'm going to do the example of praise because that's a little bit more tricky. So just think of the situation now where whatever you do, whatever you say, whatever movement you make, everyone in your circle of acquaintances and friends is commenting on how incredibly well you do that. You could just say thank you, and someone says, the way you said those words, I feel it in my heart. You have the most amazing way of speaking. And then you make a lousy breakfast and you burn the pancakes. And someone says, those were the most extraordinary pancakes. Thank you so much for taking the time to make our community the pancakes. Then you give a little Dharma talk, and people from all over the world write in and say, wow, you have some really big realizations. I just totally get it whenever you speak. So just keep this imagination going, right? Whatever you do, whatever you say, you get this incredible feedback. After a while, are you going to believe it? I mean, it is going to make you happy. You walk past someone, they say, the way you walked just now, that was so inspiring. I see that you're just peaceful. So just keep that story going. And, after a while, not very long, it gets pretty darn boring. And you might even start craving some criticism and harsh words, just for the balance. And for sure, is that going to help your Dharma practice? Would it help mine? Oh, I'd become impossible. I'm already impossible. It'd become worse. So that's a technique. If you start thinking of the lives of billionaires and the wealthy, maybe you can reflect on this tragedy. If you start grasping for some kind of attention or a relationship, then just, Venerable says, blow it up. Make it just extraordinary. You get everything you want. And then, she says, ask yourself, and then? So, it's a technique that I find for my mind is quite effective. I don't think I'm finished with this story about the helicopter. So I'll speak more about that next time. And let's make prayers for people who die in accidents this week.